Phoenix Audio presents
Rich Men, Single Women by Pamela Beck and Patty Massman. Paige Williams was positively green with envy at the fairy tale-like way things had turned out for her oldest and dearest friend, Kit Thornton. Reveling in unaccustomed luxury, she looked around the all-white, cloud-like bedroom, which seemed to be the perfect backdrop for all this elegant flurry. Their shared childhood in New York felt like a lifetime ago. Paige and Kit had kept up with one another faithfully over the years, scratching out addresses and telephone numbers as they moved through their respective courses. Kit going the route of law school, then joining a prestigious firm near her family in L.A. Paige going the route of Broadway, pursuing a dream she had never been able to relinquish. Why her and not me? That's what I keep asking myself. Paige was careful to make it sound like a joke as she addressed Kit's other two bridesmaids. Tori Mitchell, Kit's long-legged, raven-haired cousin from Atlanta, glanced up at Paige from behind a thick issue of Town and Country, looking like she belonged on its glossy cover. Poor Kit, she's been as gracious and generous as a person can be, and here we are, all jealous as hell, she exclaimed in her cute Georgie drawl. Although Tori was putting on a commendable front, Paige and Kit's other bridesmaid, Susan Kendall Brown, both knew it was only a front. The object of Tori's love was a married man, separated but in no great hurry to actually get himself a divorce. Paige couldn't imagine why the pretty brunette put up with him. Between her meddling mother and her married boyfriend, it was miraculous Tori managed to maintain her sanity. Susan Kendall Brown, who had been the bride's roommate at law school, chuckled without looking up. Susan was curled into a voluptuous sofa, deep into the work she had brought out with her from her home in Stockton, California, or trying to be. Susan was exactly as Kit had described her, serious, but with a good dry sense of humor, hiding behind the tortoise-rimmed glasses that were much too big for her face. It was impossible not to be affected by all the stir and anticipation that was going on throughout every inch of the groom's sprawling Bel Air estate. There were caterers, rental crews, flower designers, even video technicians angling about, getting it all on tape for posterity. What a production, Paige thought, watching the dozen or so florists who were still hard at work weaving thousands of orchids into an ivy-covered wall. She felt as though she were observing the building of an elaborate outdoor stage set. Susan put down her glasses, ready to call it quits. It was impossible to concentrate with Paige roaming back and forth and Tori nervously turning the pages of her magazine. They were all waiting to be transformed into the kind of glamorous bridesmaids that would be befitting such a wedding. Hairstylists, makeup artists, this was all such a far cry from any wedding to which she had ever been. It was just as well because as she clicked her case closed, the doorbell rang and Susan presumed that this time the arriving staff was for them. "Beauty crew," Paige confirmed, after crossing over to the large bay window that looked out over the circular stone-paved entrance. Tori tossed aside.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?